I'm a very peculiar person because I'm a neuroscientist in a business school dealing with architecture. But why neuroscience and why are all this related? This is a project we do, and we try to understand engineering, but we want to supplement it with information and methods from psychology and neuroscience. We want to address health aspects and also social aspects. What do people believe, let's say, about underground spaces? My part is here, and I also want to introduce you to the revolution of neuroscience that has now transformed psychology to something a little bit more objective. So, I would, the two previous talks actually are very nice because I go and say something more. You talk about engineering being about aesthetics. I go even a step more and say engineering, architects, urban designers are more important than doctors and psychologists with respect to health. Why? We can go to Erasmus, he says prevention is better than cure. There are two ways to improve health. On this axis is impact, on this axis is number of people affected. Usually, medicine or psychotherapy targets this, okay? So somebody has a cancer, you do a surgery and he's treated, but it's only one person. Another way, and actually many people don't realize that this is a better way, is to do small changes for many, many people. So the reason that modern societies are healthy is not because we have better drugs. It's because we have better sewer system, better air quality, and improved living conditions. So, you all, since you are on this field pretty much, you need to understand that what you build will impact the health, behavior, psychology of billions of people on a daily basis. And in that sense, for me, you hold the key for the treatment of cardiovascular diseases, depression, aging, productivity, or even happiness. In that sense, architects might solve these problems better than doctors. Here is an example, mental health. Unfortunately, we know that urban environments correlate with higher incidence of schizophrenia and psychosis. Okay, 2 times higher. If you live in a city, you have a 2 times higher probability that you're going to have schizophrenia. But let's go to something more light. Can the built environment affect beauty judgments? Because you talked about beauty. Let's go the other way. So here's a very nice experiment. You can take now with Photoshop, take this lady and do something horrible to her. You can make her a little bit more feminized. So you cut it a little bit like Korea, you know, or a little bit masculinized. Okay, and then you ask people which one do you like, all right? You can split, of course, all right? You will expect, let's say that most people will like the feminized. But actually, the experiment has shown that it depends where you are living. So, if you are living in clean societies, for male, yeah, right? You will prefer feminized. But if you live in harsh conditions, you prefer masculinized faces. And you can guess why, right? Okay? Because these will survive to carry your baby. It is like that. So the environment can affect even our beauty judgments. How about culture? You know, most megacities are in East Asia. This has to do with the way East Asians approach the world generally. So you know, Western societies are more independent, Eastern societies are more interdependent. And one characteristic of this is that independent means to reach your goals, you need to change the environment. Interdependent means people should adapt and adjust themselves to the environment. So here, you might be willing to have less space, personal space, because you adjust to the environment. We think that we all humans are the same, but we're not. Do we see all the same colors? No. Okay. So this is another famous experiment. They gave some cards that were classified in a grid, and then they asked people to say the similarities. So a card here was classified by Westerners as green, and the same as this card. Okay, so this card here are classified as green. If you saw the card here, it will be brown. You go to a rural society and surprise. What you call green and blue is actually something null, which is called null. This is something war, which is something between yellow and pink. So even the way we name, or even the way we see colors, differs according to cultures. Another famous experiment. We know he took many pictures from similar spaces in Japan and in US and Japan to see increased complexity. Okay, but means, do we see a scene all of us in the same way? Okay, I show you a picture very quickly. You tell me what you see. Okay. Westerners will see a collection of H.
Yes.
Easterners will see an S. Okay?
I saw a nest.
Because you have too many days here.
Pretty much a nest.
There are ways, yeah. So it's this called holistic analytic thinking. And actually they can do it more carefully. So you saw this image and this happens something, there's a change here. The change is in the foreground. Here the change is, you can't see it very well, but it is in the background. The Westerners will pay more attention to the foreground. The Easterners will pay more attention to the background. So, some other ideas from neuroscience. Multisensory integration. We know intuitively that we don't, what we like, what we eat, it's not we don't taste, but it's also how it looks. But it's actually even more complicated. Even sounds matter, okay? If you add the piano sound, you can bring out sweetness. It's quite interesting, but can we use this in architecture? And this is a good example, thermal comfort. Thermal comfort is not only what reaches our sensors on the body, but also what we see. Do you see this make us age faster? Well, there's something called social identity. There's this famous experiment, you take Asian women, if you tell them you are a woman, and then you ask them to do a math test, they have low marks. If you tell them you are an Asian, same test, high marks. It's a famous Pygmalion effect. Do we do the same with old people? Yes. If you tell them you are old, they walk slower. If you tell them you are, let's say, experienced, you have better performance. Do we do that in the cities every day? Yes, we do. And I'm thinking of starting a campaign to forbid this kind of images. Okay? And this is a stereotype. Older people are not like that, actually, if you see the real data. But the experience of aging in Singapore changed very drastically and very fast, and this has a problem. It has increased a major problem for older people, because, as a taxi driver told me once, Singapore is not my home anymore. There are practical issues like difficult navigation because the landmarks are lost. But there are also psychological. City is foreign, doesn't protect, therefore is not beautiful. Okay, and I can quickly show, I don't have much time, some of our research. There's something called in psychology attachment theory. It means that the way you form relationships generally in your life correlate with the way you form relationship with your mother. Okay, and every time we feel stressed, we somehow want to call maternal symbols. But there's a new theory that we try to now to propose, and I have good data about us, that is something like cultural attachment, which means the space and even the country can act as a protective maternal figure. And the first evidence is that if you go through many countries, the country is female and it's a mother. Mother Singapore, Mother Russia, Mother Greece. So linguistically it makes sense, but you can do this in the lab very systematically. So what we do, this experiment, very quickly, we saw many trials, right? We saw a threatening image, or an image that is not threatening, okay? So different trials. Now the trick we do is that after they see this, you show them a random pattern that has no meaning, and tell them, Please rate how beautiful do you think this picture is. So now you have to realize that this is totally random. Okay. The trick here, the psychological trick is here that for 17 milliseconds we project another image that if you ask people whether they saw it, they will say, I never saw it. This is called subliminal. And this is what we do. By the way, the subjects are Chinese students in US. We mix the threatening image with a cultural symbol. And there are four types of cultural symbols. Mother China, the host country, mother as a control, and pleasure generally. Very quickly, only 2 slides, so I need to finish. Okay, some brains here, but what we find out that is under no threat. So no threat. People, this brain area, which I will explain what it is more activated when they are looking at their host country. Okay. But you put them under stress, under threat. You saw the snake. Immediately, remember what I told you when you're under stress, under threat, you look for your mother. This brain area is like immediately going back to home. So you can see even neurologically that this brain area, which has been related, I'm trying to think what is going on when I saw this result. It's related to long-term memory and also approach behavior. So we're still trying to understand what is going on until I saw this paper that came last year at PNAS. And it's very interesting because it's about architecture. They show images and they ask people to rate how beautiful a space is. And the main contrast is whether it has curvilinear or straight lines. Okay. And they want to find out which brain area is doing aesthetic judgment of a space. And voila, this is there what they found, this is what we found. Space judgment, cultural attachment, almost the same area. This is a great result. So okay, I have to finish. We just want to use more neuroscientific approaches, including eye tracking, that can uncover the actual experience in an objective way of entering a space. Yeah, we're actually forming a coalition that could do a research program for architecture and neuroscience in East Asia with KAIST, Chinese University of Hong Kong and Nanyang. And if you are in the area or not, you're interested in that, please contact me.